GoPro thing a shot here. So more on my father-in-law's GoPro. Got the injectors all set up with my new ones. I think this part number is 7268 for the last 4. I will actually look. One second. Let's see here. No, 0681. So I was wrong. I don't know if I can zoom in, buddy. Anyway, so I'm going to be testing these 4. I know on the GM uncapped injector page, Eric Durr said these flow between 70 and 75 pounds. So these are just decapped. I decapped them yesterday. Let's see if we can go for the. Sorry, first time using a GoPro like this. I'm not used to it. Alright, they're decapped. So I reset my Arduino to have it set up for 5 seconds on, and I did an online search and found out that to do the conversion formula from cc a minute to pound an hour, it's really simple. I'll come over to my laptop here so I can get a good view of it. Sorry, I'm trying to see what you guys are seeing. Okay, anyway, so cc a minute divided by 10.5 is pounds an hour. So that's how I'm going to do the math to get that situated. I guess we'll go over here and start doing the testing. So let me get this hooked up here. Okay, fuel pump's hooked up. Set the phone down. You guys should be able to see this, I'm assuming. We'll find out. So I'm going to hook up my Arduino. Got power. So grab the phone again because I want you guys to get a good visual of this. Let's see what you guys are seeing. So, alright. Let's go. Okay. So I'm gonna disconnect the power and we'll go over the flow rates. I already bled the system before I did this test, so the system's been bled out of all the air. I found out yesterday with checking out Myron's decapped fuel injectors that after we put the injectors in the rail, that it would still have, like, the fuel comes up into here and goes into the rail. So it pressurized the rail, but it would trap air in the rail. It must have been trapping air in the rail because nothing was getting back. Or when we tested them, it seemed like there was a split-second delay, and then it flowed. Like there was an air pocket it had to bleed out. So I found that out yesterday. So today I hooked these up. I already ran the test once, which it was all over the board because of the air in the system. Drained all the test beakers out, and then did this test. So let's see. We have got that one is at 45. This one's at 44, 45, and 43. So it looks like 45 to 43. And I'm going to mark these when I pull them out so that way I know which ones are what. And so I can put the high flowing ones towards the back. Because we know from Matt Happel's posts, along with just general posts online, that the rear 2 cylinders on the LS platform seem to be the leanest. So I'm going to put the fattest or the heaviest flowing injectors towards the rear, and then the leanest towards the front. These ones, although did pass the pressure check, you can see none of them are leaking. So I am going to we'll do the math on these real quick. It looks like, yeah, I got a 40. As I said, the first one right here is 45. That was a 44. That's a 45, and that looks like it's a. Yeah, it's like right in between 43 and 44, but for the purpose of people saying, oh, you're going to go high, I'll go 43, just to make people happy. So, alright. So, we will go over here, and I will do the math real quick. So we're going from, let's see, the lowest guy was 43 cc's over 5 seconds. So, and the heaviest guy was 45 cc's over 5 seconds. I just like doing everything in Notepad because it's easier for me. So, let's see. Here. Okay, so what I need to do is bring up my calculator and delete this math. So, we're going to take 43 cc's and divide it by 5 seconds to get how many cc's have flowed in 1 second, which is 8.6. So 8.6 cc's a second. And then the 45, so 45 divided by 5 is 9 cc's a second. And then we're going to convert that to cc's a minute. So all you got to do for that, it's pretty obvious if you don't know, is just take the flow in seconds or multiply it by 60 and you get flow a minute, and there's 60 seconds in a minute. So it's 8.6 times 60. So that one was 516 cc's a minute. And this guy was 9 times 60. It's 540. And then let's convert that over an hour. So 540 divided by 10.5. I need to check my pressures on these things. Oh, okay. So maybe it is a pressure issue. I think my next step before I commit to these pressure readings is getting a pressure gauge on that flow tester so I know actually how much pressure is being flowed through there, just to make sure I don't have a field pressure regulator issue. Because that might be an issue, but so we're getting 51.4. And there's a 4% right there. It's a 4% flow difference between the lowest and the highest one on that 4. I'm really starting to wonder if pressure is not an issue though, because I know on Eric Durr's flow readings, he said he's getting between 70 and 75 pounds an hour. So I'm really starting to wonder if it's either flow or if it's the fuel pump that I've got can't keep up with it. So you know what I'm going to do, just to see, because I know the fuel pressure regulator should stay the same throughout. I'm going to unplug 2 injectors, and we're going to try this test again. I'm going to just keep rolling because screw it. People like seeing R&D. I'm going to give them R&D. So, okay, here we go. Take my phone back over here. So, other side of the battery and show you what I do for. Excuse the garage, it is a mess. I've got too many projects going on currently. I just got done putting the engine in my Firebird and I'm testing these injectors and a bunch of other crap I've got going on. So let's see if my phone slipped and fall off of that. Okay, so battery's unplugged. I'm going to unplug the Arduino. Then fuel rail, let's set it aside. Just like that. I might see if that's any better. Okay, so set this aside. Fuel out. Oh, look at that bomb of gas. Smells like crap. I know I need to change the gas out in that unit too. I just haven't gone to the gas station to get more yet, so don't yell at me about it. I know. I already know. So, okay. What I'm gonna do is I will disconnect. Which one's on? I'll disconnect the outer ones. Screw it. We'll disconnect the outer ones. Okay, those guys aren't getting power anymore. Because if it's a fuel flow issue across from my pump not flowing enough fuel to feed the injectors I've got here, because it's the fuel pump I got, it was a freebie. It was out of a Hyundai Santa Fe. The top of it came in at my workplace, and the top of the plastic hat that the fuel pump sat in, it cracked around the outside. It was causing evap leak, so we ended up having to get a new fuel pump for it. I then took that and tore apart the old fuel pump, because the fuel pump still worked fine. The car started and ran just fine, and just, as I said, had a massive evap leak. So I took apart the fuel pump and took out the internal part of the fuel pump, and that's what's in this. So I went to run the fuel pump number on Google and on all the other search engines I could find, and literally nothing comes up besides the fact it's a TA automotive fuel pump. No flow ratings, no pressures. So I'm kind of flying blind with that, and that's another reason why I want to eventually, right here, change this plug into an adapter for my fuel pressure gauge that I have, so that way I can see how much fuel pressure this actually is at. It should be 58, because the first set of injectors I flowed were factory 25 pound an hour injectors, and they flowed 25.1, so I knew that was right. But because of the fact I'm going with larger injectors, trying to flow test them on this rig, I'm just kind of curious if that fuel pump isn't able to keep up with the demand, because those numbers just seem low. So we are going to, now that everything's cleaned out, we're going to run this again on 2 injectors instead of 4. So I'll plug the Arduino back in, because it's ready to rock, and hook up the battery, get the fuel pump or fuel flowing again, and get the injectors powered up, or at least positive power. Okay, and we'll try this again. So let me see if we can get back here so you guys can get a good visual of these. And I'll test 2. Oh crap. I hit the wrong button, I think. I think I hit the... What did I do? Did I hit the wrong button? Oh, hold on. Obviously, that's wrong. So, this is why I tell everyone, just send their injectors out to Eric Durr. He's got a professional AS, what is it, AS I think it is, I don't remember, flow bench. Plus he services the injector and everything. It's like 60 to 70 bucks. Saves you a bunch of headache, so just do it. But let's see what happens here. I don't know if maybe the programming's messed up or if I hit it twice. I might hit the button twice by accident. Okay, programming issue. I might need to find out because I might have done that before. Anyway, okay, we'll do this again. No big deal. So, put this aside. Put my wires up before they decide to something bad. Oh, okay. So, let's go back out. And try this again. Third time. So, before I hook those back up, I'm going to verify when I power up the Arduino that it is not going to freak out on me again. So, power this up. That's the one good thing. I added an LED to this circuit so that way I could watch it. Okay. This time I'm not going to video of it actually spraying in, just to make sure I can hit that button correctly for you guys. So, we will pick this up. This harness was awesome. I got this harness off a junkyard engine. It was off of, let's see, the injectors are out of an '07 engine for a Silverado, and the harness is out of a, I think it was an '08 or '09 G6, with a 2.4 liter Ecotech. They snap right on. Plus the harness, I literally had to do next to nothing to that harness. I took off the map reading plug-in and let the fire off. So, okay, here we go again. I bet you flow is an issue. Flow is definitely an issue. Okay, that is good to know. My pump can't keep up. So, you know what? I'm gonna do this again, except I'm gonna do this on one of the outer ones, just for the hell of it, to see if it flows almost the same. So, leave those alone. Yeah, because that time I got almost 60. Yep, flow's an issue. Okay, well, I'm going to have to either get a different pump or just do them literally one at a time. Oh yay. Okay, so you know that's an issue. I'll drain these out. I'm going to just do them one at a time to get good flow readings. And I need to get a fuel pressure gauge on this so I can get an idea of what the pressure actually is. So that is an issue. If you guys try building this at home, you're probably going to want to get an actual fuel pump that's worth a darn. I was doing this on the cheap, so okay. So this is how R&D kind of goes. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's good to know. So, and again, I wish I'm gonna get a video of me actually doing this with the fuel pressure gauge on that, because that would be the hot ticket of being able to see how much they flow and what the gauge pressure is, how much it dropped down, so on and so forth. So, not a huge deal. We will get this squared away. And I'm just going to go one down the line, and I'm probably not going to be able to use these flow readings because I don't know the pressure. But I know flow is an issue, so I need to, before I actually use these flow readings, and I'll do the math and show you guys what I get today, but before I actually start using this to flow my own injectors and my own, pretty much only very close, like proximity blends, I need to get a fuel pressure gauge on that so I can get consistent readings, because obviously that's not right. But now we know. So, okay, not a huge issue. As I said, this is kind of what happens when you home R&D stuff. Whatever. You live and learn. Spray some Obama gas over here. I'll try to keep it lit when this out of my videos for the most part, but I still that sucks. Anyway. Ranting over. Yeah, I'll do these one at a time. So we'll get this one back up. Or set back in place. And we'll just go down the line, 5 seconds for each. Then I'll do a bunch of mounting. If they all come out about the same flow individually, I know I'm on the right track. But again, I need to get a fuel pressure tester on there before I actually say, oh, this is what they flow. And this would also explain why me and Myron's flow test yesterday was way low, because it didn't have the fuel it needed to actually do the job. So, this is why, like, whenever you have cars on, you know, making power or whatever, and you see your fuel pressure dropping, it's because you don't have the fuel pump to keep up with the need. Which is exactly, if you could see that in this video, which I'm pretty sure you just did, that's what's going on. That's why we always recommend good flowing fuel pumps to be able to feed the need. So, okay, we're going to do one at a time, starting now. One down. Look like they're flowing about the same. Again, don't know if the fuel pump's keeping up with the flow, but hopefully you guys are seeing this. I haven't looked at my phone a little bit to see how the view is. And as I stated, and I'll post a video when I do it, that whole prototype board will go away eventually into a nice sealed box with some buttons and stuff, and make it look professional, not like the way it is right now, or it's kind of cobbled together, but it does work. So we'll unhook this guy so you can get a good visual of what I'm seeing here. Let me grab my phone so I can make sure you guys are going to be able to see this. Again, this is a borrowed GoPro, so I'm kind of getting used to it for you guys. I'm planning on getting my own eventually. So, okay. So let's see. Can you guys see? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. 67. This might be a little bit of an angle. 66 for number 1. Second one is, that's 67, 67, and that one is 64. The first one's 64, the rest of them are like 67, yeah. That actually might be 65. I'm going to say 64 just to be on the safe side, because I can't really tell. So, the rest of them are definitely 67s. If I'm going to do it the same way I did this one, which, just to be on the safe side, I'm probably going to. So the first two, 1, 2, are 66. That's definitely 67, and that is 64. So we'll go off that. 1 and 2 were 66, 3 was 67, and 4 was 64. So let me write this down because my memory kind of sucks. So 1 and 2 were 66. Caps lock on. 3 was 67. And 4 was 65. Okay, so I can take these and kill them. This is all worthless because it wasn't valid. So, okay, so 66 cc over 5 seconds is, I'm just going to do one at a time, so 66 divided by 5 is 13.2 cc's a second. And you multiply that by 60, so 13.2 times 60, that's 792 cc's a minute. Yeah, that was a big difference. Which equals 792 by 10.5. 75 point, there we go. That looks better. And that lines up with what Eric had. So I could, again, I need to get pressure, I'm going to get a pressure gauge on this because I'm not one to, like, guess. Right now I'm just kind of guessing because I don't have it right now. And please don't take this video, oh, he's just guessing. I am going to put a fuel pressure gauge on it, mark my words. But right now I am just testing it out, and now that I know that fuel pressure or fuel delivery is going to be an issue with that smaller pump running larger injectors on this fuel bench, I'm going to have to run a fuel pressure gauge to make sure I know what pressure reading I'm getting while, like, flowing pressure, so that way I know if that fuel pump's able to keep up or not. And obviously now we know it's not going to be able to with 4 of them in a row. So I'm probably eventually I might look for a fuel pump, another fuel pump 2, and throw in there just to help with flow. Can't believe I'm gonna do that. My fuel bench that costs next to nothing, but anyway. So 75.4 pounds an hour. And excuse this, I don't know if you can even see this, but okay, so 67, which is the high flower. 67 cc over 5 seconds. So 67 divided by 5, 13.4 cc's a second. Cc's a minute. And that equals 76.6. pound-hour. So those are definitely going to be larger than the ones I'm going to take out of this Firebird engine. I don't know if you can, the ones in there, I had only one shipped out to Hunter Hunter Performance. I think they're out in Washington State. I just wanted one flow test, so that way I had an idea what to put in my Mega Squirt computer, so that way I was in the ballpark for fuel flow, and then I just kind of absorbed everything else in my VE table. But they flowed 64 pound an hour at 58 psi. Because They flow tested them at 43, and I used their Witch Hunter performance calculator on their website to bump the flow rating up to what I would see at 58 pounds. Should you do that? After doing some testing and what I'm videoing here and the stuff I haven't videoed, I would probably have the fuel injectors flowed at the pressure you're running them, so that way you know without a doubt, that way you don't have to calculate it. I've known from some of the reports I've seen online where you would calculate, say a flow tester flowed one at 43.5 pounds and then flowed them at 58 pounds, and then you used the 43.5 and then did the math to what should flow at 58, and sometimes the readings don't add up. It might be the fuel injector itself, not totally sure. I'm sure there's physics involved that I'm not going to bother learning, but just from my perspective, I'm going to put a fuel pressure gauge on that fuel rail, so I know exactly what I'm flowing at for pressure. And as I said, I might get a second pump. I don't know yet, but we'll go down and do this last one here. I hope you can read this screen. If not, I'm going to just read off what I'm typing in here. So, number 4 was at 65 cc's over 5 seconds. And that equals to, back out. So 65 divided by 5 seconds is 13 cc's a second. And that equals to 780 cc's a minute. That equals to 74.3 pounds an hour. Okay. And this is also another reason why I tell absolutely everyone to send their injectors out for flow testing. This is also why I can't remember his name. I think it's Low Mo or some jerk off. Anyway, some jerk online. He has been posting a few videos of why you shouldn't decap factory truck fuel injectors, and he's not completely wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you look at the flow readings here, from my flow bench, now mind you, I'd like to flow all 4 at once, so I'll probably have to step up my fuel pump so that way I can get a better reading, because I'm sure that's what he's doing. Individually, I am seeing my highest one was 76.61 and my lowest one was 74.31. So we'll do the math here and see what kind of variance that is. Well, and this may be wrong, I don't think it is. 76.61, which was my highest. You divide that by your lowest, which is going to be 74.31. You come up with a number of 1.03. So that would be a 3% variance in flow at that rating. So take that how you will. Now you can also do the inverse, which should come about the same. So we had 3% change in there. So just to check ourselves, 74.31, and divide that by 76.61. Yeah, 0.97. So it's 3%. So my math is correct. It's a 3% variance from the highest to lowest flow in injector. And he was even the one that said that's what he tries to shoot for. In his video mocking these decap fuel injectors, he's like, I try to shoot for no more than 3% variance. There's your proof, right there. Now, mind you, my proof comes with, as I said a million times already, a fuel injector flow bench. The fuel pump isn't enough to feed these, so I need to up either my fuel pump and I need to put a gauge on it. But with just flowing one at a time, we know that I only had a 3% variance between flow from my highest one to my lowest one. So now if you want to add all four up, so my average would be 75.41 plus. So that's doubled. So you know, I'll just hold on, make my life easier. 75.41. Multiply that by 2 because there was 2 injectors that flowed that. Then you add 76.61. Then you add 74. Yep, 74.31. So that's all 4. You divide that by 4. So I'm getting an average flow of 75.43. Now, if you want to, I'm going to just type that down so that way I don't lose it. 75.43, 44, 75.44. I'm going to round up. So, 75.44 was the average. I can't spell. Okay. So if you want to do this from your average, you can take your average and go from the highest flowing, which is going to be 76.61, and divide that by your average, which is 75.44. So I'm looking at a 1.5% above average for the high flower, and 44, which is the average, divide that by your lowest one, which is going to be 74.31. And again, 1.5% from my lowest, which makes sense because I had 3% variance between them. So, yeah, so you have a 3 right now over those 4. I have 3% variance from the highest to lowest, and from the average, which is going to be 1 and 2 just about. It was 1, so 1 and 2 flowed 75. Here, we'll just do this. So 75.41, and you divide that. Divide it by 76.61. It'd be what, 1.6%. So from those, the 2 middle injectors that flowed identically to that one's a 1.6% variance. So we'll go from the middle to the low guys. So 75.41, divide that by 74.31. Yeah, 1.4% variance between the middle ground that and those are the lowest flowing injectors. So from your average one, your high guy is only going to flow right now is only flowing 1.5% more, and the low one's only flowing 1.5% less, or just about. So, as I said, if I take the high flowing injectors that I get from my pressure tests and put them in the rear cylinders, the rear two, 7 and 8. I think 8's the issue normally. 8's the one I believe that Windows can block. But put the high flowing ones towards the rear, and then go leaner towards the front. You should be fine with one of these motors. So, anyway, that has been my home R&D on these so far. I'm going to, this part's going to end for a second. I'm going to reset, and I'm going to flow the other 4, and I'm going to video those too while I have this GoPro, and compile all the video, throw it up on YouTube, and let you guys bash away or whatever you want to do. So, okay, I will be right back. Alright guys, we're back. Okay, laptop's back on, so I'm going to take the Arduino is not set up exactly the way I want it yet, so I'm not doing that. I will be eventually. Right now it's just pretty much a fancy timer. So, okay, get this unplugged. Those are undone. I can hook the electrical. We'll put the ground back up. My main reason for videoing this was to show you guys what I do for resetting to try out new injectors. So just bear with me. Try not to make a big mess out of this. So need to work these. Sure. So probably gonna set these somewhere too once I mark them so that way. Exactly perfect. And just that way I know which ones are what. Don't worry about them. I'll probably get individual baggies and sharpen those too so I know which one's blown and what. So. Doing some math while I took a quick break and inside, and I found out that my the factor fuel injectors flow 25 pounds an hour, and I verified that with this tester just to get some R&D in and figure out how the tester works and whatever else. So you multiply that by 4, that's 100 pounds an hour fuel flow. Like, okay, so now if you do the math, we had one injector, or I had one injector that flowed, what was it, 76? Yeah, 76.6 pounds an hour. So one fuel injector decapped flowed about 4 of the other style with caps on. I think that's why my fuel pump couldn't keep up. It's just a factory. It's like I think it's a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe fuel pump. It's just a cartridge out of it. So, and it just couldn't keep up. So, not a huge issue. I do at work all the time. I'm replacing fuel injectors or taking off fuel or whatever, injector, intake, whatever it may be. Whenever you put these back together, I normally put dielectric grease on them. I just don't have any here right now. I'm going to get some. Start doing that on these injectors so they come apart easier. So, I'm hoping you guys can see this. I'm not even looking at my phone. I'm going to check it in a minute. 3. Wait. Oh crap. Can't pay attention to what I'm doing. I just grabbed the back door. I did that last night too. Try this again. What I'm going to have to do back in is hook all 4 of these up at first, and I'm going to run them for the 5 seconds just so that way I can get all the air blood out of the system. Once I get the air blood out of the system, I'll run these guys one at a time. Get the flow reading that's accurate. Because obviously I'm not going to open that local repairman can't keep up with 4 of these at once. So, which is what I'd like to do, but I'm going to have to just get it buck up and get a bigger fuel pump at some point. You can see one's got a leak. I found a few of them got leaks. I found if I pulse them, they actually stop leaking. Sometimes. So, we'll pulse these guys. And they stopped leaking. Okay. Yeah, so they had some crud in them probably from me uncapping them, but the first time I hit them, and the other set just did the same thing. First time I hit them, you know, they stopped leaking, so I'm guessing I got some crap in between the pedal and the seat. Not a big deal. Okay, all the air's worked out of them. I'm gonna go grab the Ardina, or not, go grab my phone to see if you guys can still see what I'm seeing correctly. I'm still just getting used to this. Yeah, excuse the mess. Okay. Yeah, that's it pretty good. Okay. So, set these up. I'm gonna put them over there for now. Okay. It's all separated. done. Arduino's hooked up. Results here. I'll unhook this so it's a little easier to see. Okay. So, we got 76, 76, 76, or sorry, 66. So we got 66, 66, 66, and 66 across the board. That's awesome. They all flow the same. It's about as even as you get. Okay. So again, this is not, I can't check fuel pressure, so I probably won't use these test results until I do. I might just, for the heck of it, if I need to adjust it, I can from there. I can already tell these injectors are going to be better than the ones I have in the car. So I'm going to try these first, and then eventually, everyone's been seeing online, I've been posting about my 16 injector intake. I do plan on doing that. I do plan on doing that at some point, but we will, real quick, check these guys out. Sounds like, let me make sure I actually did the other ones. Yep, okay. So all these were 66. So I have 6 of them that flow 66, one that flows 65, and one that flows 67. That is stupid close. So, okay, we'll go on to the next one. So all of these, so 5 through 8, flowed 66 cc over 5 seconds, which equals, oops, not plus, which equals, bring up my calculator again, so 66 divided by 5 is 13.2, oh, it's the same as up here, why am I doing math? So it's literally the same, so all 4 of these flowed 55.41 pounds an hour. So 66 cc's over 5 seconds is 13.2 cc's a second, or 792 cc's a minute, or 75.41 pound an hour injectors. Which seems right for what Eric Durr had. But I do, as I said, I need to get fuel pressure on this rig so that way I know I've loaded them at the same pressure as what the car runs. I know the car runs around 58 to 60, matters on temperature for fuel pressure. Key on, engine off. So as long as that test rig is flowing 58 pounds an hour at the same, or 58 pounds or fuel pressure, sorry, I know that those readings are correct, and I can I'll check it to make sure, and I'll video it too to just prove my point. Have it all on video, but video of it flowing one at a time with the fuel pressure gauge on it, and then see the fuel pressure. If I need to, I can get some kind of deadhead regulator on the return and regulate the fuel pressure up or down or whatever I need to do. And I'm probably the next fuel pump I get my hands on that's any good, I'm probably going to wide block it into that fuel reservoir and have two pumps, just cheapo pumps feed that, so I have enough fuel, because I would love to do all four at once. Right now it's not feasible, but next time I get a cheap fuel pump, I'm going to do that. I also plan, once I am happy with the code of the Arduino, I plan on posting it all on a website, so that way you guys can do the exact same thing. I'll have links to what I bought for the prototype board if you want to do it that way, or if you want to do it however the heck you want. I'll just post what I got for it, and post the code up once I'm happy with it. I might post the code up anyway. I know that the dynamic control needs a little work. I mean, it works, but it's very hard to adjust for different flowing injectors. Like if you set up the dynamic flow for 25 pound-an-hour injectors to where it flows 50 cc's by the time it's done, and then you put these 75 pounders on it, it's going to come out the graduated cylinders. So that part I'm not super happy with, and I might add a couple more buttons, like hit this one for large dynamic flow testing, hit this one for small dynamic flow testing, so on and so forth. But stuff in mind for my future projects. But that was the rest of the RD for today. I'll get this video posted in a little bit here, and as I said, I'll make another video whenever I get that fuel pressure regulator on that, so I can prove that these were either correct flowing or the pressure was higher or low. I would imagine the pressure would be the same because of the fact of they're flowing like what Eric Durr has at that same pressure. And I know that fuel pressure regulator, just from having at work, I always at work take my fuel pressure tester and hook up to those rails, which is the exact same regulator, because we're having an issue now. We just got E85 in town. A lot of people are using E85 in vehicles that aren't made for E85, and so I'm diagnosing a bunch of lean issues. And because of that, I'm getting a bunch of info from all these regulators that those regulators flow. As long as the fuel pump's good, they flow 58 to 60 pounds. I know from the 4 fuel injectors that I was just having a volume issue where that pump can't feed the need. But because the 4 fuel injectors that were factory flowed 25.1 on my tester, and that's what they flowed, that's what they're set for, or they're specified to flow 25 pounds an hour. I got 25.1. I know the tester's good for pressure like that because, again, all the numbers added up. So, and these numbers are adding up. Again, as I said, I'll get a pressure tester on it and just verify that I'm regularly now. But we'll go from there. So that is my R&D for now.